It's a beautiful evening. Thank you for joining us on Atlantic Television Network. Sports Extraordinary is the program. Ekpo Temple is my name, and it's that time of the day where we'll take you through the happenings in sports. It's a Monday edition of the show, and trust me, a lot to be talked about. This evening, we'll take a deep dive into the year 2025. A lot has defined Nigerian sports in its extreme, its glory and grief, its dominance, and sometimes disappointing. But one thing certain is that 2025 gave us a historic achievement led by our women, most especially the Super Falcons and the Tigers, delivered beautifully, but also, you know how it is. Sometimes you don't get it all. All of this will form the bulk of conversation on the show today. We look at Nigerian sport in 2025, some of the moments of bliss and some of the moments of disappointment, and also talk about all the games played across the leagues from the Nigeria Premier Football League down to club football in Europe. This is Monday edition of Sports Extraordinary. We're going to short break now. When we come back, we'll get started on the show today. All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Emmanuel Michael joins me on the show today. Mike, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me this beautiful evening, and of course, glad to be here. It's a lot emanating from the world of sport. We need to, of course, take a critical look at this evening. So once again, we are ready to go 360-degree around the world of sports.
All right, like I mentioned earlier, if you're just joining us, we'll take a look at Nigerian sports in 2025, a recap of some of the highlights, or high moments, and the low moments in our sports. First off, we'll start with athletics. Mike, at the Tokyo Games, there's a World Athletics Championship, Nigeria returned with just one silver and one bronze medal. Toby Amotion and Ezekiel Nathaniel delivered, while Kanyinsola Ajayi showed promise. It was an improvement, but a lot of people will still argue that it is still far from elite. First off, should we be satisfied with the performance that we saw, or should we demand more?
I think it's not a question that even needs to be think twice before giving a direct answer to that. It's one to, I don't even want to delve into it because it was such a dismal outing for Team Nigeria. After spending big, about 13 billion was budgeted for the last edition of Nigerian Olympic Games. And of course, out of that 13 billion, the able-bodied counterpart took home the sum of about 9 to 10 billion, while the disabled athlete took home the sum of about 13 million naira. was meant for their own, which they went out there and delivered, all right, consistently, that they've just like they've ever done, because they've amassed more medals compared to their able-bodied counterparts. So I think the last Olympic game, it is one to forget about, because there's nothing to take home after spending such a whole lot of controversy here and there. Our boxers being disqualified, even sent packing from the athletic village. Then again, we had the issue of even we renting or borrowing a bicycle from Germany. All right, coupled with the whole lot of mess that went down. The Favor of Philly's name was also omitted in one of the races. And so I think for me, it was generally an Olympic game that Nigeria should forget about, because there's no positivity to take home from that last outing. It was a complete waste of taxpayers' money.
So if you think it's a complete waste, like we saw on the Olympic, as you've alluded there, and the World Athletics Championship, you think it's about athletes not getting the right support ahead of major championship. That's why we don't get to see them, show that level of performance at the top level.
It's as simple as that. They are not taken proper care of. The basic things are not done. All right, you still hear that this day till today, some of the athletes still complain about some of the allowances they have not yet paid to them. So I think from the onset that the name of Favor Philly was omitted, of course you know that there's something that was very wrong, because if the foundation is faulty, then the building itself will crack. It cannot stand the test of time. So despite the enormous talent God has invested of some of these individual talents, some of them are doings in their own special feed on a special day, but then they are being hampered by lack of proper support and care. All right, these are the issues. So I think for me, I will not really blame the athletes who are the key players, but then the administrative angle, that is where I lay my blames, because time and time again we keep talking about proper preparation ahead of a major championship. We just sing it more like a chorus. But then we never take a pragmatic action towards addressing some of those challenges, and it keeps remaining there. All right, next time we will still hear the same issue popping up here and there. In fact, from the fallout of that last Olympic game where Favor Philly's name was omitted, you can see what had happened. In fact, it led to her not just thinking of switching allegiance, but she has switched allegiance. All right, so I think with the fallout of what happened, it is what actually caused us to lose one of our best hands in the world of athletes. So basically, I think the Athletic Federation should take full responsibility, because we hear that some persons' names were also fingered to be responsible for the failure of Favor of Philly's name, or the omission of her name, the likes of Riti, Mosundi, and the rest of them. But till date, we haven't had the conclusion of that matter. So I think administratively, it's been a disaster. It's been a disappointing one from Nigerian athletics. Don't forget, just a few days ago, as we were just discussing, it came to my mind that about 2 weeks ago, or thereabout, the Athletic Integrity Unit wrote the Nigerian Athletic Federation. Because why? There were age falsification in the last under 17 or under 18 African athletic championship that were held. About 16 to 17 names that were fielded by Team Nigeria were allegedly they were alleged to have falsified their age. And as we speak right now, the Athletic Integrity Unit is in the neck of Nigeria Athletic Federation for them to bring a proof to that. Why must there be incoherent name, date of an athlete? For example, you registered for a previous competition age 15, and you wrote your name and the age. In the next competition, you are writing a different name and different age. How do you marry that? So it's been a complete mess in terms of the administrative system. But I just hope that...
So in all of this now, what will you suggest the Athletics Federation going forward? Because the year has come to an end and you have listed some maladies, that seems to be a consistent struggle. And that is why it has affected performance at the top level. What can we do right come 2026?
I think if we want to get it right, there is need for we to sincerely tell ourselves the truth, especially for those who man the affairs, who wield the power, in the thick of things. Those key players that orchestrate things for good, the decision makers, the bodies. I know that Tanoba Okowa is doing his best, but then if you have 8 out of 100% giving you a nod, it means you are doing pretty well. But if you have 40 out of 100 giving you thumbs up, it means they are not doing well. There's need for you to sit up. And I understand that it's a collective activity, it's a collective duty. He, as a president of the Nigerian cannot carry out most of the reform which he intends to, of course, take us back to where we ought to be in terms of athletics. But then, I think proper collaboration and sincerity from our leaders, so those that man the affairs of things, should do us better. It is high time we put personal sentiment aside and work for the progress of the country to say, okay, things are not going right. We need to get it correct. Let us be sincere with ourselves. We want to drive, the Athletic Federation to the next level for we to get better in terms of our output. What must we do? First off, the grassroots school sport should start. This is the time for we to have intensive grassroots sport development, especially in the angle of athletics. Back then, you used to see the secondary and the primary school sport activity churning out most talent. But these days, all those things has gone comatose. And you begin to ask yourself, how can we? Is it just we sitting back to rely on foreign base? Some of the Nigerians that struggle their way through to go to yonder to get a proper facility to train. When their names begin to ring bell, that is when we say, oh, he's a Nigerian descent, let's go and invite him. Does it mean that out of over 200 million people that we don't have credible, qualified, talented athletes that can do the nation proud? It is so. There must be sincerity of purpose. We must, as a matter of must, go back to the grassroots. Talking about the grassroots, you have to start from the primary school down to the secondary school before you talk about the university. This is where we are going to get it right. Then there must be a serious check on the age falsification issue, because it has taken our developmental progress backward. Because you can't claim to be 17 while you are 30-something. Then you just go for one outing, your name ring bells. The next outing, you frizzle out. Nobody knows you again. Why? Because you used an overage. So I think these are basic things that we must do. We must be sincere with ourselves. We must go back to the grassroots sport development. We must go back to the eras of secondary school, primary school, churning out raw talent, and possibly put an eye on them. Give them the proper, support for them to develop their skills and hone their talent as well. Give them the needed support and exposure, because if they go out there to get themselves exposed at early stage with the requisite tools that is needed for them to have an enhanced performance, you see them competing at the highest level. But then if they don't have the proper facilities, no support is given to them, how do you think that we can advance the cause of our athletic development therefore? So these are basic things that we must do. And I think the National Sport Commission, led by Bukola Olakpade, of course, they should also be doing their own part as well. It's not just enough for them to put up a bold statement of saying, oh, AFN, we want you to put your eyes on ground to do a thorough investigation on the reason why there was a falsification of age. Yeah. They must as well bring the perpetrators to book.
So it's more like a reform in its entirety from what you're saying, right?
Reform has been there. If we want to use the reform, we can continue to reform this country, even the country itself. So it's about sincerity.
But because it's the same person, the same men, the same set of persons writing the affairs, and I'm thinking how this can be implemented to this later, especially when there are interests.
There must be a reborn of the hearts.
Okay.
Now that is why I talk about sincerity. What are we reforming? These things has been there. We continue to reform. More like garnishing it. The old thing is still there. Yeah. We just brandish it. We say we've caused a reform. the NIN that we're using to track age verification. Is it not a part of the reform then? Did it actually go well? No. We still had some persons were still, beating that mark to even still, muzzle their way through bypassing the process. So that is why I talked about sincerity of purpose. There must be a genuine interest to say, okay, I know that we are not moving in the right direction. Now that I'm a head man, a generalissimo of this organization, what must I do? I must be able to bring all my members to board, because alone I may have the goodwill, the conscience to do things right, but you, as my subordinates, as my co-workers, a fellow executive, might not have the same interest that I have with you. And that is why I talk about sincerity of purpose. It must be holistic from each and every individual if we want to move this country forward. If not, one man effort might not be okay. You might just be one man at the center, but then don't forget some other members might also be drawing you back, because if you are taking a bold step forward and some person are not willing to align with your own positive mindset, then we're trying to do other things which will actually draw the hand of time, and that will hamper progress and development. So there must first be sincerity of purpose from each and every member of the Nigerian Athletic Federation before we can get it right. About
the sincerity of purpose, if we must get athletics activities right and see our athletes present us at the top level. We heard that one from Mike there, making his thoughts on athletics activities in 2025. Let's move away from that now and let's talk about something beautiful. Mike, I'm sure you're going to love this particular one, because I know for sure that you were very happy when this was accomplished. So we'll start with this one. The Super Falcons of Nigeria, this year arrived in Morocco with one mission. It was the Mission S, hype, and everywhere was buzzed with it. Truly, they lived up to his expectation and they delivered. They won a record extending 10th WAFCON title. They defeated Tunisia, Botswana, Algeria, Zambia, South Africa, and then pulled off a stunning comeback against host Morocco in the finals. 2-0 down at halftime. Many gave up hope, but somehow, they were resilient. Maybe more like the anthem they went with, Mission X, came to reality, and they took over from first half and they did it needful. Let's talk about this. This domination, what would have been if we had not won this one? You think it would have been sour? What do you make of this effort? What does winning the 10th WAFCON title, tells us, as a Nigerian? What's the feeling like? Get to see how they even came back and won that particular one against Morocco in the finals.
First off, the feeling was that Nigeria will once again showcase our talent and dominance to the global community in terms of women football. Because first off, winning the Women African Cup of Nations 10 record time, it also gave the Super Falcons the edge over other countries right here in Africa by maintaining the #1 spot. All right. Then again, it also showcased our individual talent to the world, because the likes of Chiamaka Nnadozie as an individual was nominated for the Best Goalkeepers Award in the Ballon d'Or, ceremony. And of course, the coach as well, was also made that list of one of the best coach that was nominated in the Ballon d'Or Award this year. So, and then again, you talk about the ranking. Although we just fell one short at the global stage, talking about the ranking, which we are 36 or thereabout now. All right, we are 37, but now I think we are 1 point lower compared to why, because we do not take part in the last window international break. But then we still maintain #1 in Africa. If we had not won the 10th Women African Cup of Nations Cup title, I can tell you that Morocco, maybe by now, would have subsumed us at the top of the continental table in terms of the ranking. And of course, our ranking in the global stage should have been further, go down. So these are some of the things. And then again, you talk about the special interest. For me, it's about the happiness and joy. Football is the only uniting factor right here in the country. Of course, you saw the amount of peace and joy, the smiles in the faces of so many Nigerians that very night. I cannot forget it, because the Super Falcons were down and the time was running against them, 2 goals down. Some had left the viewing center, some have shut off their TV set because of anger, but then when some of them had of the equalizer, you see some of them running back. You needed to see the joy. In fact, I still have some of the capture in my phone, because I had to do some recording. I was outside watching the game in an open place to sample the opinions of Nigerians. Immediately the last goal was scored. My brother, even those that had gone back home, that were still very close, in the house, all of them pulled out. You needed to see the joy. So the joy, the dignity, the pride of the Super Falcons winning the 10th Women African Cup of Nations Cup title was so massive, to the extent that the joy is unspeakable as we speak right now. So these are some of the benefits. First, Nigeria individually, they were able to showcase some individual talents to the world who made the shortlist for some of the nominees in the Ballon d'Or award, like the coach Justin Madugu, Chiamaka Nnadozie, to mention but a few of some of the players as well. Then again, we retain our pride and dignity as a dominant force in African football. When you talk about women African football, then again, the joy, unspeakable joy, measurable, unquantifiable joy that they brought, and the smile that they put in the faces of Nigeria was, it's another thing that you can't truly purchase that with money. So these are, for me, some of the positive that made me to be so happy to say, okay, I'll give a pass mark to the Super Falcons, because without that, all of those joy, all of those recognition, the dominance from the African angle of football in the women football wouldn't have been complete.
And truly, that comeback was truly significant in all directions, and I hope that they can continue what legacy it was. What are we doing structurally right in terms of women football and its development here in the country?
We are not doing anything right. And I will keep saying it. I don't.
So we just went there and won.
Yes, the girls were just determined to go out there and win. It's not they were given better treatment, because even as we speak right now, don't forget the reason why they gave a sound warning to the NFF during the international window was that until some of their allowances were paid, they were not going to honor national team call during the international window, and that is why we did not play a single friendly games, and that is why we had to drop 1 point in the global ranking. So they were owed. So I won't say, because of the proper treatment that the guests received, that is why they went out. It was just that they were determined, all right, to make names for themselves, and that is why they went out there, not because of the way they were properly treated, because we've known that, it is within the nature of NFF not to get it right most time when it has to do with taking care of either the Super Falcons or the Super Eagles players.
So you mentioned Ajibade, you mentioned the goalkeeper as a standard player. Are these ones the very best for you during the tournament?
Of course, there are some other individual brilliance that are shown like a million stars. The likes of Esther Okonkwo, she was in fact fantastic.
I think for me that she deserves to be among the list of the best players of the tournament.
She was fantastic. In fact, she was more like the originator, the orchestrator of things in the Super Falcons squad. You can't forget those assists, and of course some of the glorious goal that she scored as well to, of course, help the Super Falcons. So when you talk about the Super Falcons, we have bands of good players that, if given the proper care by the NFF, I can tell you that we don't just rule Africa, but we can go to the global stage, talking about the Women World Cup, and make a serious case for the likes of Michelle Alozie. She was outstanding as well. All right, Ohale was outstanding. All right, so I think we had have a complete team when you talk about women football right here in Africa. It's just that they need a little bit of good incentive and call it a little bit of pampering as well, so that when we get to the global stage, we can also continue to fight for the badge of the Super Falcons.
All right, with that now, we're going to a short break, but we are still reviewing actions, and from now to the end of the year, we'll look at some of the, the high points of Nigerian sports and the low areas of Nigerian sport, and we'll bring them daily when we come for our sports show. We're going to a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League and other leagues that was played over the weekend in Europe. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back from that break. For just joining us, it's still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. It's the Monday edition of the show, and we're looking at trending stories in the world of sports. Mike is still here, and we did a review of key moments, high points and low points. The high points for today, we looked at the Super Falcons Mission S completed, and then the low point, we saw how athletics, the abysmal performance of our athletes, and we also looked at some of the issues around athletics in Nigeria. Away from that, now let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League match day 17 we saw across various centers, in the league. Just as I speak to you right now, there are key MPFA games that are on, and we hope to bring you up to speed with that particular one. But before we talk about the games that are ongoing, let's say that match day 17 live up to its billing as Baro FC lost to 3SC, at home. Kun Khalifat also lost to Abia Warriors. 1-0 it ended. Very strong struggle there for Abia Warriors. Mike, Kun Khalifat, losing to Abia Warriors. Abia Warriors traveling away from home, but they had to dig deep to get that particular one. Much of the delight of Imam Mapakabo, who said that yes, they struggled. The boys, suffered in that game, but they needed to get the 3 points, and they did.
Yeah, I think they needed all 3 points, talking about Abia Warriors, to keep their hope alive for the title chase. And they got that. One goal, but enough to give them all 3 points. A great one for Imam Pakabo. I just believe that if they can hold on to this and keep fighting, just maybe they will. They will be one of the favorites for this. Don't forget how they fought till the dying minutes last time out, but they couldn't make it. But then they picked Continental Sports. It's just that they lost out on the league to Remo Stars. Let's hope that they keep this fight on.
Let's hope that they keep the fight on. Barca United trash Remo Stars 2-1 at home, and for the Promise Keepers, this look like a very good result to the struggling defending champions.
Yeah, I think a good one. But for Remo Stars, I think it's been a difficult start to the season for them, and there is need for them to improve things for good. If not, I tell you, maybe they might not even finish within the Continental spot, because they are seated 11th, right, on the log right now with 21 points after 17 games. Defending champion seated 11th. I think for me, it's not a good one. But then the reason for this is not, very strange to me, because bulk of the players that won the league for them were let go, and they depend solely on the academy. They did not bring out money to buy already established player. And of course, like I said in the morning, that you can't really blame the owner, because it's a private owner, private club, and they want to maximize their profit. So when which offer comes for some of these players, offer not just in naira but in dollars, in hard currency, you let such player go, all right, to make money for the club, because they depend solely on individual sponsorship and not no government aid comes to their way. But then they should have been able to buy 1 or 2 or 3 players that are already established and more like infuse it into the team. But then we just wait and see how they are going to finish the season. But if they continue with this kind of result, I can tell you that they might not just finish within the continental spot this season.
Obviously, we'll get to see how far. But one thing very striking is that we have a role to play in all of this. And for Imba Football Club, they returned to winning ways, and they were able to get 3-1 win against Kwara United, Mike. This is a cheering one for Imba. Yeah,
cheering one, but then can they continue with this fine form? We just see maybe a breath of new fresh air after they got a new coach. Imba seated 8th on the log right now, but being one of the title favorites every year, you should expect them to be seated first, second, or even third on the log right now. But not a bad result at all. If they can be able to keep up this consistency, maybe, who knows, Enyimba might just bounce back to the title contention for this season. We'll just wait and see, matter of time.
Wait and see, and truly, and for Warri Wolves, they played a goalless draw with Kano Pillars. Neither one of those defeated Academy Warriors 3-0, and Plateau United and Nasarawa United shared a spot there at the New Jos Stadium in Plateau State, precisely. Mike, what is wrong with Nasarawa United? At the point when you expect them to, do the needful, if you are topping the table, it should come with a lot of, energy. But somehow, when you expect them to do the needful, even away from home, you should be able to show strength. But I mean, they have been very consistent in picking results. They win today, they draw tomorrow, they lose. But you would think that going away from home to play just goalless is a good result. But that result is not good enough, especially if you know that there are chasing pack, towards the title.
I think for me personally, it's not a good result for them because seated at the top of the table, you should know that the top 2-3 teams that are closely coming behind you, they have just 2 points or 1 point to overthrow you. Then you should be able to get the needed victory, at least to keep that pressure on the second place or third place that is chasing after you. You may want to say going away from home in the Nigerian Premier Football League to get a vital point is a good result, but then on a normal, in the world of football, nothing is very strange right now. Going away from home, if all things were to be equal, going away from home to pick all 3 points shouldn't be something that is big or something that is seen as Herculean task, because football, it doesn't matter whether you're playing. After all, the South African club came to beat Rivers United here in our own almost 3 goals to nothing. I mean 5 goals to 1. So I think Nasarawa United, they are not showing that sign that indeed they are really hungry to lift the title, because if they are, they have a couple of opportunities about a few weeks ago to have extended the lead, make it more like a 6 or even 8 points. But then they dropped a point. Over the weekend, they also dropped. So for me, I think it's not a good one for a team that is hoping to muscle the title away from some of these traditional names.
Right, the game, there are games are still ongoing. Ikorodu City is currently taking on Katsina United. It's still goalless in that particular one. Rivers United leading Wiki Tourist is 72 minutes played so far in that encounter, and is Rivers United 1 against Wiki Tourist. A
good one for Rivers United, only if they can see off this victory, because scoring goals has been their major problem. I will keep saying this. Who knows, 1 goal lead in 70-something minutes, it is not over yet until it is over in the world of football. So we can't start jumping and start singing Hosanna in the highest or Uhuru for Rivers United, because there's still more time. 5 minutes can change a game, who knows? But then I think for now, it's a good one. If you remain this way, it means that Rivers United are top of the league table.
If you remain this way, then one thing very certain is that Rivers United are on top of the league table. And then away from that, let's talk about the Africa Cup of Nations, because we hear that some players have arrived. Mike, can you take us through updates from the camp of the Super Eagles Nigeria?
Yeah, on Sunday when the camp opened, I think it was only 2 players that first hit the camp. So the likes of Francis Uzoho and Stanley Wabalebo here a few hours ago this morning. Other players, few in likes of Shemilo Guajayi, Igor Obu, the likes of Lukman Ademola. In total, there are about 10 players in camp right now as we speak, if not more. But we expect that some of the players will, start arriving maybe this evening. Some of them were in action for their various club side over the weekend. So I think we'll have a full house possibly tomorrow morning.
Full house possibly tomorrow morning, and the Nigerian Football Federation, ahead of the African Cup of Nations, have announced the launch of the Niger for the Win campaign as the Super Eagles return to continental action. Just like we saw Mission X, and the X Factor came in. Do you think this will in any way energize or inspire the team towards success?
For me, I do not really believe on this crested nomenclature aimed at spiking up or gingering up players. It's about NFF doing the needful. All right, even if you like, call them, bring a name tag that could, be so scary. It doesn't make any difference if proper care and attention is not given to these players. You can't bring out a name tag just to propel the players to go out there, more like a motivating factor for them. Yet, you are not motivating them morally, you are not motivating them financially, but you are only motivating them with a name card, a name tag of, let's win this. So basically for me, I just want to see the NFF put their house in order. I don't want to hear that, 2 days before the competition or the tournament, the players will be threatening to go, on sit at home because their entitlement has not yet been paid on to them. So beyond the name tag, of course, it sounds very beautiful to the ear, but then can we go beyond that? Talking about the NFF to position things in the right place by making sure that the welfare of the players. We heard a few days ago that even the new coach, the Franco-Malian, is being owed. All right, if the coach is being owed and some of the players are still grumbling about some of their entitlement allowances and yet not yet paid, and you are carving out or bringing out a name that is said to motivate the players to go all out and win, the AFCON trophy for this year, is that good enough where you are still having some, bills to clear in the side of the players and the coach? So I think we just wait and see how all of this will go.
Wait and see how all of this will go, trust me, and I would also hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will live up to this billing, and see they can get their hands. They got to this finals, lost to the Elephant of Cote d'Ivoire last time out, and who says we cannot go one step further to getting to lift that particular trophy. Right away from that, there were actions in the in club football where we saw in major leagues actions that live up to expectation. In the English Premier League, Crystal Palace yesterday fought tooth and nail, but they lost scandalously to Manchester City 3-0, and this is Pep Guardiola in his post-match said this is just the beginning of new things to come.
For Pep Guardiola, he's one coach that have shown and proven over the years that you can't, overlook him in terms of the title race. Even if it's remaining 5 games to go, he must fight to the end. Just like last season wasn't a good one for him, but then he still managed to qualify for the UEFA Champions League, even with some of the poor results for last season. He still was able to make it to the UEFA Champions League. And this season, don't forget that at some point, Arsenal were gapping this Manchester City with about 9 to 10 points. All right, but the point has been, sliced down to just 2 points separating the league leaders, Arsenal and Manchester City. This Crystal Palace is a team that knows how to kill the giants, know how to play the big team. But then, take a look at the way Manchester City were able to blow them away with ease, 3-0 in their own home ground, not Manchester City home ground. So that is to tell you that this Manchester City need to be taken very serious by Arsenal. If truly Arsenal want to win this league, the citizens with Pep Guardiola is a team to watch out for.
Citizens, and if you look at the way they're going about it, you have no doubt that Arsenal needs to be very smart if they must get their hands on this trophy. Nottingham Forest dispatched Tottenham Hotspur better than Newcastle United, and this is very painful because that own goal separated both sides.
Yeah, for Eddie Howe, man, I think they need to work harder. Sunderland, they have not been a bad team at all. They've proven that indeed they've come to stay this time around after gaining that promotion. Though they are not a strange team. Sunderland has been there. It's just that one thing led to another, and they went to relegation. Now they are back, and they are looking likely to stay afloat the top flight division this season at the end of this season.
And then we saw a beautiful game from West Ham United, but they lost to Aston Villa. Unai Emery is not going to let anything slide back at all because he's very desirous of getting something in this season. Same.
Definitely. One team that you must also commend under their coach, Unai Emery. I think Unai Emery has a proven time without number that indeed is a quality coach. Give him an average team, will definitely do well. Just that Arsenal wasn't just the right platform for him, and that is why he could not achieve so much, with Arsenal. Though it led them to the Europa Cup final where they lost scandalously to Chelsea in that particular one before leaving. But then if you go through his track record, you will understand that he's a serial winner as well in terms of the second tier European trophy as well. So when he handles an average team, like Newcastle, like Aston Villa, like Villarreal. You see him doing wonders, but give him a big team. The bar may just be too much for him to, stand tall upon that big team. But for average teams like Aston Villa, trust me, Unai Emery is not doing bad at all. Just 3 points shy of the league leader, Arsenal Football Club. Still, they are in for the title chase as well.
In to the title chase, Brentford played a 1-0 draw with Leeds at home. Chelsea were 2-0 better off than Everton. Liverpool defeated Brighton, and Hove Albion. Burnley lost to Fulham. Arsenal tried to get that particular 1-2, and it ended. Let's talk about Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool, did so well at Anfield. Were able to get the 2-3 points at stake on the day.
For Liverpool, you can't truly say that they are back to their best right now. It's more like, there's still a little bit of question mark regarding Liverpool and Ancelotti in conjunction with the controversy rocking Ancelotti and Mo Salah. But then we saw him came off the pitch to give one of the assists. It's looking likely that Liverpool might just be able to do without Salah if he goes for the African Cup of Nations. But then I can't truly say that Liverpool are back to their best until I see them win 3 straight consecutive games.
See them win 3 consecutive games, and let's see how that possibility. Arsenal, at the nick of time, were able to pick that particular one, but somehow they lost it. They lost concentration, and that would have been very disastrous if they had drew that encounter, knowing fully well that Manchester City already waiting for them a day after.
I think it's just a matter of time. Arsenal would definitely relocate their appearing in the league, because I don't see them, just like Gary Neville stated a few hours ago, that Arsenal, they need to be very careful that he does not even see them winning the title. And it's looking likely if the same Arsenal cannot beat a 10-man Chelsea, struggled against a struggling Wolverhampton Wanderers, it begs for the question of if Arsenal can truly win the league title this season. There are still more matches to come, all right, and you cannot just outrightly give it to Arsenal right now because of the way they are playing these days. They are not that convincing again. So I think we'll just wait and see. But one thing is certain, that this league, the English Premier League for this season, this year, is going to go down the wire.
Surely, I agree with you. It will go down the wire, because in the La Liga Santander, Sevilla were 4-0 better off than Real Oviedo. Celta Vigo defeated the Athletic Club Bilbao 2-0. Levante that battle against Villarreal has been postponed. Deportivo Alaves lost to Real Madrid, courtesy of a goal scored by Rodrigo. And Madrid, they all 3 points, but this was still a struggle for them to win.
Yeah, still a struggle, and for Rodrigo, the man, Xavi Alonso, just need to thank him. It's about 280-something games without scoring, without finding the back of the net, for Rodrigo. But just 2 games that he has played, recent few games right now, he's been able to, score 2 goals. So for me, I think Alonso needs to watch it. You can clearly see the palpable tension and fear. The sign language in the body of Xavi Alonso while standing on the touchline, that because it was more like lose this one, pack your bags and leave. But then I just thank God that he was able to win that very one. But that is not to take away the question mark regarding his pattern of play and the way the team has dropped down their form. And then again, you talk about Kylian Mbappe. Whenever he's not in that team, it looks as though Madrid are helpless. They are devoid of help at all. So I think for Xavi Alonso, we just wait and see how long is he going to retain this job after the win over the weekend. We see what happens next week.
We'll see what happens next week, and trust me, we'll also bring to you. Before we leave the show this evening, let's talk about Bayern Munich playing at the 2-0 draw. More draws we saw in the Bundesliga this weekend, Mike.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. It's football. You cannot really always be the way you expect it to be. That one big team will just walk down straight to get all 3 points. The teams are also pushing to get, to remain afloat. Some are also pushing to make a very good finish for the season. All right, so it is not a tea party affair for the fact that you're a big team. It doesn't expressly give you that authority that he must win all game at all costs, and that is what happened to Bayern Munich over the weekend. In fact, they took the first lead before their opponent had to draw level and took the lead. They had to beg for a draw in that game.
I wish we can go more, but also tell you that our sports extraordinaire goes to Ellen Brut Haaland. You know, beautiful goals he scored, and if you have a man like Brut Haaland, there's this optimism. Come on, you must achieve something at the end of the season, and the guy is living up to expectation weekly basis, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I think the goal machine is living up to that expectation. No reason, no doubt rather why Pep had to buy him, because of course he saw a quality striker in him, and he has been living up to the expectation as we speak.
All right, so that's how far we can go today. Many thanks for being part of Sports Extra with us on Atlantic Television Network. We're back again tomorrow, the Tuesday edition of the show, with more reaction from the games played over the weekend. It's the Yuletide period. Have fun wherever you are, and always remember that it's one game, football without violence. I did a show courtesy of the legendary effort of Emmanuel Michael here. Ekpo Temple is my name. Let's meet again tomorrow for another fun time. Until then, stay locked and stay tuned to the viewership of Atlantic Television Network. Bye-bye.